So earlier this month, I talked about Gothic, a Ken Russell movie. Now, that was the first Ken Russell movie I'd ever seen, and I liked it a lot. So I decided to watch another one. This one also ends up serving as a side project is a bit much. I'm kind of, as I find them, trying to take in some stuff that feature Doctor Who actors, specifically the actors who played the Doctor. That was part of why I did Sinbad, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, a little while back, because Tom Baker was in that. And we got a baby Peter Capaldi in the one I'm going to talk about here, Lair of the White Worm. So I've seen this described as Ken Russell's most accessible film. And granted, I only have Gothic to compare it to, and I'm inclined to agree just based off that. Now, I don't like this as much as Gothic, but Gothic is a movie that requires a lot of qualifications if you're going to recommend it. It is very much, and I did this even in my review, like if you're going to watch it, don't be someone who needs everything fully explained to you and to have it make logical sense, because it won't. Be okay with just sinking into atmosphere and and having it largely be a mood nightmare piece. Like, I have a whole bunch of caveats that you have to be okay with and like to get that movie. This one has way fewer caveats. So yeah, I would say it's definitely more accessible than Gothic was. It's pretty straightforward ultimately. This is sort of a little bit of a dark camp cult horror thing. Sure. Not only does this have a baby Peter Capaldi, this is a baby Hugh Grant in it. Hugh Grant being like, I was surprised how like much of a hero he is in the story, because he's introduced like, wow, you're an upper class tool. Like that's just what you're playing. And he was good at it. Like the acting's pretty solid in this overall. It didn't need to be, but I would say the one who gets the most fun and who gets to chew the most scenery is our villain in this. So the whole thing is set, I think it's actually technically an adaptation of a Bram Stoker story. But it's set in this English village, with this lineage and this myth of this great white worm that was once, slain by a knight. And Hugh Grant is like, he's part of the local aristocracy because his family lineage traces back to that fabled knight. Peter Capaldi's an archaeologist, and he comes across this skull, this rather large snake-looking skull. And there is a woman who has a mansion, and she... the entire character, like, I'm going to describe her, but you need to understand, she is this to the nth degree. Supernatural femme fatale. That's her entire thing. That is her thing. She knows it. She owns it. She loves it. So when I say that, don't just think, so it's kind of like this. No, it is that really hard. It goes really hard into that. And she definitely gets the most to chew on, and that includes the scenery. And it is interesting to watch these actors who, for the most part, are doing their best with what they've got, but it is kind of campy. But the story is largely taking it seriously. If the camp is there on purpose, it's not overwhelming anything. And you've got like funny little moments, because you've got like the local constable who sees that the mansion that this woman is in, because they think she's still out of town. Like somebody's in there, and this constable's going up and getting his partner on the radio. And there's little comedy beats where he's like, I don't care if you just sat down for dinner. Get out here. It's funny. It's silly, but it's also bloody, and there's nudity in it. So, Ken, Ken Russell, there you are. Randy bugger. It's not quite to the level where it feels exploitative. Like, given the plot that it has, it could have gone a lot harder into both the gore and the nudity than it does. They are there. They're both there, but they're not there to such an extent that I would call it an exploitation horror movie. It could have been. It honestly has the energy of one. It just doesn't fully go there. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's like baby's first exploitation horror in a way. I don't know. I'm not sure how much I'm happy with that descriptor, but I like it enough that I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to leave it in. And Capaldi's a lot of fun in this. Like, and again, a lot of that fun comes less from the performance itself, which is good, but more from just sort of being like, oh, look at you. It's weird to me to see him without gray hair. Like, it's such an odd thing, but he's good. He's good. And we have some other women as well. We have these two sisters. And it just kind of moves forward with this sense of atmosphere and this growing sense of just what that supernatural femme fatale is going to do with her whole giant worm snake lady energy that she brings to this entire thing. Cause like they go in hard on the snake thing. The snake imagery, the touches, like the snake weird. Oh, all about snake stuff here. And again, it's a bit like the movie, a bit like that character knows what it is and is leaning into it pretty hard. It's like we are about a dark atmosphere, but also an oddly light tone at times, and snake stuff. Oh boy, are we going in hard on the snake stuff. And while the movie is odd and feels like it does straddle a few different genres at some points, it still feels very self-assured and confident in what it is. What it is strange, but fun, assuming that this kind of vaguely exploitational horror, I guess it's a horror movie, horror adjacent at least, movie is your jam. Yeah, this is a fun time if you've never seen it. I think I would say, like, you have to be willing to make allowances for the 80s-ness of it. Like, it's very much an 80s movie. I don't mean that in like 80s fashion, 80s music, but just the energy. If you've seen 80s horror movies, like, it just has 80s horror movie energy. If you know, you know, I guess is all I can go with. But I had fun with this. This was a good time. Gothic is better, but this is fun. Lair of the White Worm. Have you seen it? What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living, even if you can't help me out that way. Like, share, subscribe. Those all help as well. Don't worry too much about it, though. Take a relaxed attitude around here so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to give thanks to my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfula, Goddess Elida, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Movie Turtle, Ulrich Bogdan, Loki Eris, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Bernabulex the Poodle, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Kasparov, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Adam RDL Taylor, Pau Baraba Jago, Mira G, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. I don't know, it feels right that it's October the first time you're seeing all three of these at the same time.